Like, let's just be honest about what it is. Everybody's clocking each other's shit, and they're just writing the exact same headline. I saw it happen over the last 2 days. It's like, none of you guys care about building anything.
That's where the Epstein stuff came from, I think, because a lot of people like Bongino and Kash Patel kind of started talking about it, and it built and built and built, and it got them a following.
I think Bondi, too. I think Bondi got caught up in, like, I think she kind of wanted a moment. She's like, I'm trying to build myself a larger career here. She has bigger aspirations. She's like, it's on my desk, without really understanding what she meant with it's on my desk.
Totally.
But
and she brought in those influencers and gave them the binders.
What the fuck is that about?
So stupid.
To tie it back to what you guys are saying, and I'm harping on this with you because you have such a powerful voice within Democrats. But like in my lifetime, I've never seen a political party as obsessed with excluding people. And the irony is Democrats seem to love talking about inclusivity ad nauseum. Inclusivity. But if somebody steps out of line from what we want them to say, fuck you forever. You have no chance of redemption.
How do Dems fix that?
Well, one thing, I mean, look, I think there was a huge problem among Democrats that was particularly a few years ago about not having conversations with people we disagree with. Like, I got invited to go on a Barstool show. I said, no, I don't think I can do that, man, because like my audience would get upset about some things Portnoy said. And I think back to that and I'm embarrassed and I'm mad at myself because like, how am I going to speak to that Barstool audience if I don't go on those shows, right? So that was fucking stupid. I'm embarrassed about it. And we're course correcting. I think a lot of Democrats are doing similar course corrections. You saw it when like Bernie endorsed, Rogan endorsed Bernie, and Bernie put out a press release about it, and he got attacked by a lot of Democrats about it. So I think we're learning from those mistakes. I do think there has to be, I do think we're kind of a more motley coalition of diverse voices than the Republicans are right now. Like, I guess I would just push back a little bit on the idea. Democrats can be annoying. We can be scoldy. But I think sometimes, like, it's online mobs more than the party, you know?
Yeah. I was going to say, like, I actually think Democratic politicians in general have been good about this and have only gotten better, especially since the election. But I think what people experience when you're paying attention to the news or you're following politics is the influencers, the people online. And look, Trump, as we're seeing with the Epstein files, Trump just doing everything, that just letting the base drive him wherever he wants to get, and over-promising, like that's going to get him into trouble. And I think that the challenge for Democratic leaders and Democratic politicians is to push back on shit like that when people aren't being inclusive and people don't want to build a big tent. I remember like Sarah McBride, a first trans member of Congress, when Mike Johnson and Nancy Mace tried to do that bathroom bill to like prevent her from using a bathroom. Yeah. And, she responded by being like, well, I'm going to follow the rules, but I didn't come here to argue about these issues, and I'm going to try to make people's lives in Delaware a lot better. And a lot of like online activists in the trans community just like attacked her and still attack her to this day. And it's like, this is the first trans member of Congress. And like, imagine sort of the burden on her shoulders. And what she's trying to do is say, you know what? Sometimes we need to be more inclusive. Sometimes we need to focus on, she's not picking the fight. And so it's like, why are you criticizing her for that? Because like that fight might make you feel good. But what she's trying to figure out is both how to make sure there are more trans members of Congress, and also, even more importantly, how to make sure that she delivers on the promises she made to the people who put her into office in the first place.
There was, when Pete came on the pod, he told this great story about like, I think he like first started dating his now husband or something like that. And there was this woman like worked in his office, and she was like I think maybe a little more conservative religious woman, right? And she said something to him like, I met your friend and he was very polite, or he's very nice or something. And he met her where she was emotionally. He knew that for her to say that, it was a much bigger leap than the average person that would just be like, I'm so proud and you're so brave and all this other like, yes, queen shit. Like, he was able to recognize what that meant for her. I thought that was like very emotionally intelligent, right? He could go, what do you mean, my friend? He could scold her. And I think to what Akash is saying is like that sentiment, and maybe it is online, like, I think the sentiment is like Republicans, it's like, you could fucking shoot someone in the head, but if you're like, listen, I believe in small businesses, they go, all right, he's a good guy. Yeah. And then with Democrats, it's like, I believe in trans rights, gay rights, black rights, but Asians shouldn't go to Harvard. You're like, what the fuck are you talking about? It just, all it takes is one thing. And then online, at least the rhetoric is you're scolded and you're out.
You're right. Like Trump saw a political opportunity by welcoming RFK Jr. into the fold, and all of a sudden there's a prominent Democrat named Kennedy who's a cabinet secretary. So he's been a genius on that front, for sure. And Democrats, you're right. Sometimes we have like a laundry list of things, and you don't check all the boxes. We don't allow you in the tent. I do think the solution here is getting back to Obama era politics. Like he was actually brilliant about this and emotionally intelligent about this because he understood. That he just like tried to connect with people on a human level. And he understood that people would misstep and that people had different views about race or abortion rights or things, or maybe said things that offended him. But if he could connect to them or make them think that he was going to help their lives, he could get their votes. And I think that's the right approach.
Okay. Do you think that still works though? Because we see the way Trump handles things and clearly he appeals to a lot of people and he doesn't give much grace at all.
Yeah,
he doesn't. I mean, I think part of the challenge today too is the sort of information environment and like all of the incentives to our earlier conversation about the attention economy just pull you in the direction of simplicity, of yelling about things, of being like really strident, making everything black and white. And you hear when you hear like Pete on your podcast, or I just, listen to Gavin Newsom for 4 hours on Sean Ryan's podcast, like you hear in a space like that, you get all the complexities and the nuance, and you'll hear politicians, you'd be like, oh, I didn't like this guy or this girl when I like saw them on TV, but now like, they're a little more complex than I thought. But television, social media, like it doesn't allow for that. And so I think it's easier for Trump because Trump's message is, well, I'm just going to burn everything down because you're all pissed and I get it. And so I'm just going to tear the whole system down. And that's like an easy message to get across. Yeah. And the Democratic message is, look, we have to work together with this very fractious coalition and this like very diverse country to sort of build something together that's going to be better for people. And that's like, people are fucking bored already just hearing that sentence.
Yeah, we're the earnest fucking losers. It sucks. Like we're this normie Democrat space where like, actually, we think government can be good. And the reason I don't think there's a ton of conspiracies is because mostly people are incompetent and they can't keep secret. It's like boring, lame answers like that. And it's like, the burn it down stuff is fun.